Whew, man, that was stressful. Alright, well, I'm gonna sit here for a while and wait for people to come in, and then we can start and stuff, which is very exciting. Whew. I'm all shaky now. I was a little bit late because I was setting stuff up, but oh man, we're here. We did it. Oh wow, there's already 6 people. Hello. Hi. Sorry, just give me a second. I gotta post that I'm live and stuff, because that's what I do. I post that I'm live. Oh man. I'm all shaky. Whew. So, like I said, we're just gonna sit here for a little bit and wait for stuff. I have to pull up the stream on my computer real quick. I apologize if you hear an echo real quick, just so I can get the link and everything. Yoink. Okay, now everyone give me a second. I'm gonna turn the music down a little bit so I can hear myself better. Eki is here. Swag. We're here. I'm so excited. Announcements. I have to advertise in like 6 different places. Okay, and then the Q&A thing. All right, we should be here. Holy shit, there's 18. I just started streaming. How are there 18 people? Okay, whew. Oh shit, Queen of Dragons. Finished it because I can't read like 2. Oh boy, you would be surprised, Storm. There's a lot that happens in the epilogue. Okay. So, wow, we are here. We're all here. It is the, it's the thing. I wish I had more art to show, but honestly, this is it. This is the art that I drew for it. Oh. Alright, just give me a second to calm down my nerves. A lot of things happened in the, sorry, I just bumped my mic. A lot of things happened in the epilogue. A lot of really important stuff. Yeah. Also, real quick, Seal, that video that you made, I literally watched it like at 2 a.m. the other night, and I was like, oh, somebody made a video about my thing. I feel just, wah. It was like Mario dying noise, you know? Okay, so, Q&A. I have never done a Q&A. But I did have fun making the layout art, as I'm sure you can tell. I just had tons of fun. So, I guess I'll just give a real quick, what's it? Oh, hi Morgan. I'll give like a quick, what's the word I'm looking for? Afterthoughts, before we jump into it. So, for those of you who don't know, and are just here because I'm streaming, first of all, wow, hi. Lure of the Maw is my Little Nightmares fanfiction that I posted on AO3 starting in March. And it was something I kind of started on a whim, to be completely honest with you. I started it because I thought, what would it be like if Mono was on the Maw? And I'm sure other people had that idea, but I think I'm the first one who actually wrote it. Either that or I'm the first person who wrote it and the first person who had their idea take off. But I literally, as I was planning it, I sat down like at, I don't know, 8 a.m. in the morning, and I pulled up a playthrough of Little Nightmares 1, and I just looked at each of the chapters and listed how I thought Mono would react and interact with things. And that is how I made the entire plot, literally within 40 minutes. So, I'm really surprised that it took off as much as it did. If you don't know, Lure of the Maw is my most read work ever, with 12,500 reads. And it has, like I said, the most reads I've ever had. It has over 300 comments, and it is, I think, either the 14th or 15th most popular Little Nightmares fic on AO3, which is kind of terrifying. I didn't expect this when I first posted a chapter. I was like, this is just a fun thing. This is just an idea that I thought would be cool, but I've met tons of people. People recognize me because of my writing, which is, like I said, terrifying, but also really cool. I'm really glad that that everyone was so invested in my story. It was honestly a lot more. It took a lot more than I thought it would. It ended up being, I think, almost about 60,000 words, meaning that I've written effectively a novel. I wrote a novel. And I'm not over the fact that I wrote a novel. And I wrote it in the span of about 3 months, while juggling commissions, finishing up school, and being a YouTuber at the same time, so there was a lot going on. I'm kind of relieved that it's over because it was really stressful, but I am very happy and very grateful for all the support that it's received. It's really, really cool. So as a little thank you, I thought I'd do this live stream where I would just do questions and answers. You guys could ask me questions about the fic, and I could answer them. I have a few people who couldn't make it, but sent me their questions through the Q&A channel of my Discord server. So I'll be reading those every once in a while. So I think I'll start with one of those, unless some people send in some questions. A lot of them are sent by my good old pal Reverb. So hello Reverb, if you're watching this in the future. He couldn't make it, but where do I read the Lure of the Maw thing? It's on AO3. It's actually, I think it's in the description of this video, so if you want to read it, you can. I should also say, as a vocal disclaimer, if you haven't read it and you plan to, you shouldn't be watching this, because I will be going over the entirety of the fic, which means I will be spoiling the hell out of it. So if you plan on reading it and you're here now, I would suggest backing out. Don't worry, this will be public after the stream is over, so that you can watch it and everything after it's over. When are we allowed to ask questions? Whenever you want. I'm gonna read one from Reverb. He had 2 questions at first. His first question is, what were your least and favorite, your most favorite and your least favorite chapters to write? My least favorite chapter to write in terms of plot was probably the kitchen chapter, because it was boring as hell. They're just going back and forth around everywhere, and the twin chefs are like the least interesting villains. They're still pretty cool, but they are, it was not fun to write, but it did have a cool payoff though, with the Mono losing half of his hearing, the poor guy. So the ending was fun, but the everything else not so much. My least favorite in terms of like me being nervous to post it, which was part of the question, my least favorite was probably either the epilogue or the sky, which is the chapter right before the epilogue, because since those 2 chapters were entirely original and not at all based on anything in the game, I was terrified about the reception it would receive. I was afraid people weren't going to like it. They weren't going to like the change of pace from it going completely horror-based to more character-based. It was really, really nervous. Same thing with the epilogue, exact same problem. But I'm glad people stuck with it, because that means I did a good job. But my favorite chapter to write was most definitely the guest area chapter. That one was so fun to write. I loved writing that chapter. It was so fun. I literally wrote it in like 3 days, I think, and that was like 7,000 words. Holy shit, man, that chapter was so fun. I got to write so much horror and so much emotion, and the ending was so great. Oh man, the one thing that I missed writing about in the last 2 chapters was, I guess the last 2 chapters, because the ladies chapter was after that, was the gore. I know a lot of people were like, I am terrified of the gore you wrote. I am disturbed. What is happening? And I'm like, that's the point. I'm glad it worked. But man, gore is fun to write. If you ever try your hand at it, you will know how fun it is. But the guest area chapter was by far the most fun. It was just a whole lot of fun. I got to write a lot of emotion, a lot of horror, like I said, a lot of gore. And the best part was everyone was terrified for that chapter. If you read the comments of the Lure of the Maw chapters, if you read the comments, you'll see me responding to people being like, oh god, is Mono gonna get bitten? Is Mono gonna get eaten? With just some cryptic, like, anxiety-inducing stuff, because I wanted them to be scared. Oh man, it's so fun. It's so fun seeing people's reactions. It's just, since I've had this all planned out, not at all being worried about Mono. Just knowing that he's gonna be fine. It's great. It's so much fun. I love it. That was by far my favorite. Alright. You guys should also probably add burnt pause to your comments so I can see it when you ask questions. So like when you ask questions, just add burnt pause somewhere in there so it highlights it, because it highlights when you put my name in it. But I'm just saying that because I just remembered that. My friend Bruno, hello Bruno, says, what advice do you have for people wanting to write fics? It's amazing that you had the motivation to write such a huge ass thing, so I want to know what you have to say. Write something that you, already have planned all the way through. I literally sat down and planned the entire thing in my notes app before getting into either before I got into the prologue, so the entire thing, before I got into the entire thing, or until before I got into the actual Maw chapters. So plan everything out, because otherwise you're gonna be a mess. There were a few things in there that I did not plan for, and I think you can tell. So so plan everything out. If you have mystery involved, add explanations for everything, okay? People are gonna want to know. You can't just be like, it's up for interpretation. I mean, you can be like that if you want, but to me, the most satisfying things is getting a very, very detailed explanation that answers all of your questions, so you're not left wondering what the hell happened. So that's pretty much, yeah. So that's my first piece of advice. Second piece is make sure what you're writing is something you're actually interested in, because I have actually tried in the past to make a big multi-chapter fic, and it was it was for a fandom that I'm not part of anymore, but I had tried to make it, and after one chapter I dropped it. I didn't have anything planned. I was really passionate in it, but then it died off. So in your planning, make sure that you have stuff planned that you are actually very interested in. I also cannot, I'm bringing this up now because the music is really loud. I can't tell if the stream is picking up music or not, because I can't have the sound on the stream, otherwise it'll echo somewhere. But you want to make sure that what you're writing is something you're passionate about. I'm very passionate about Mono and Six, and a lot of people in the comments gave me motivation, and my friends gave me a lot of motivation, which really helped push me that last way. So you just have to find a balance of doing stuff that you are very excited to be writing about, and also things that you like, you need to write out so that you can give people explanations. Like when I was writing the 7th chapter, the one after the entire gameplay, I was really bored because I had to give emotional build up, but it was necessary to get to the stuff I really wanted to write, so it was worth it. You don't hear any music? Damn. Let me see if I can fix that, because I do really like the music. Properties. Default. I'll restart the music so you guys aren't jump scared by the Hunter's theme. Zoink. Alright, I've got the music started up again. Swag. Alright. What inspired you to start writing Lure of the Maw? Lure of the Maw. Wait, let me make sure there aren't any other questions before that. What are we doing right now? We're doing a questions and answers for my fic. Not pick up music. What inspired me to start writing Lure of the Maw? I can't quite remember when I had thought of it. A lot of my writing ideas come from when I'm just sitting in bed and trying to go to sleep, or when I'm in the shower or something. And, like, to help myself just relax, I just think of Mono 6. And it probably started with me thinking about scenes from the first game with Mono in them. I think the first ever scene I actually thought of with him in it was the scene in the ladies' quarters, where after 6 eats the lady and everything. Let me turn the music up just a little bit. No, it seems to be fine. So, yeah, so, it probably started there, but I also did think it'd be a cool concept, and I didn't really see anyone doing it, so I was like, I'll do it. Why the hell not? I'll do it. Let's see, for Citrus and the other kids, what were they inspired by? They were actually inspired by some of the persistent fans of Lure of the Maw. Let me go pull up their sheet so I can list them off. Let's see. Kids. Alright. So, Fox was yours truly. Gonna be completely honest. The Fox character was just me, because I deserve it. Immediately star in the chat. Did you base Fox off of your persona? Yes, I did. I literally took the color straight off of my persona. Citrus was based off of, well, in terms of character designy-ish, and also the fact that him and Fox are besties, was inspired by Bruno. Bruno, my lovely friend Mozzie Milk. Name Citrus comes from orange, as in Bruno is orange, but because that song hits different. Fox was an animal. No, it's a character. Ray was based off of my friend Ray. She's also a mod. I don't think she's here right now. She might be eating dinner or something. We are in different time zones. But, R-A-Y, instead it's, R-E-I for the actual person. And Martin is based off of our wonderful Star and Orion in the chat, Morgan. Newt is based off of two people. She's based off of Nightlight, who is a fellow Little Nightmares writer and is someone in the chat, and also in my Discord server, who was probably one of the first people to be interested in my fic, so that means a lot. And also my friend Small, who is just an avid reptile/amphibian fan, so I was like, yeah, named after you, because Dragon, Newt. I felt like it'd be a bit, out of, like, kind of weird, doesn't really fit if I just named her Dragon, and I was like, well, I can't just name her Lizard, that's bland, so I was like, let me just, like, pick a lizard, and I chose Newt, because I like the name Newt. I think it's cute. And Echo is based off of, Reverb, who is, not here today, because he's off doing something else, not entirely sure what, but, he offered a lot of questions, which I will be answering at some point in this stream. The Discord server. I have a Discord server. It's not currently open because I get anxious with letting new people in. But I do have a Discord server. I might open it again at some point. Let's see. I'm gonna close that file now because I don't need it. We'll pull up another question from Reverb mentioning him. Uh, thank you. How long was Six possessed by her shadow? Was it the first time she ate in the maw? It was. So, the first time Six gets quote-unquote possessed by Shadow Six, if you don't know, Shadow Six is the entire reason why she goes all Shadow Six was first present from the first piece of bread that she ate in the prison chapter. I tried to make it clear that something was very, very wrong about the fact that she was eating stuff on the maw. Like, every time that she ate something, it'd be described as, like, black fog or, like, something swarming over her mind to kind of hint at the possession and everything. One thing that I was certain of is that every time she ate, I wanted to make sure that it was clear that her state was worsening. So, like, after she ate the rat in the kitchen, she wasn't able to eat anything that wasn't meat. Like, when Mono tried to give her a carrot, it tasted like dirt and rotten, so she could only eat meat at that point, which made things a lot worse for her situation. After she ate the gnome, she became pretty much completely apathetic, and after she ate the lady, she became completely unfeeling towards Mono and even forgot him until he got rid of the shadow and everything. So, basically, it wasn't like a she ate one thing, now she's possessed. It was more of a, like, continued, it's like a going downhill sort of progression that was happening with her. So, oopsie. Poor girl. What was the heart? Okay, I already answered that one. Just in case, the ones that I'm reading that you don't see in chat are from Reverb or from the Discord channel. I'll let you know if it's anyone but Reverb because he posted a lot. Reverb says, just because I'm curious, do you have any music that screams the lure of the maw? What song would you say most suits the lure of the maw? Basically, the song You Make Me Feel by Archive, that song. I can't really say any other ones because I have video ideas and I don't want anyone to take them. But You Make Me Feel by Archive is definitely one. If you don't know, I'm not going to play that song because I'll probably get copywritten or something. This song basically has a lot of very blaring instrumental that kind of sounds like sirens, so if you're not into that sort of thing, either when you go listen to it, lower your volume or just not listen to it. There's a lot of blaring instrumentals, but every time the vocals come in, they're always very soft and caring and almost sort of alluring, and it just gives me Lure of the Maw vibes. What gave you the question to have Mono go deaf in 1 year? Gonna be completely honest with you, I was just bored with the kitchen chapter. I thought it was really boring and I had to do something to make it like actually happen. And I always thought it was weird that whenever the chefs threw something at you, like, there was never any repercussions. Like, I mean, sure, if you did that, then that would have been really annoying. Like, if they threw a bottle at you and suddenly you got slower, and then it'd be really hard to escape them during that last chase. But, like, I don't know. I just thought that the stakes could have been a bit higher. So, yeah, it was really just because I was bored with the kitchen chapter. As you can tell, I don't like the kitchen chapter. Why did you make Mono go through such hell? Because the maw is generally just hell. Like, even if Six wasn't possessed, he'd be running through all of these awful obstacles and everything. He has to jump around a bunch of leeches. He has to avoid the janitor and also see a TV, the poor man's trauma. He has to look at a bunch of child corpses being turned into meat. He has to watch people eating said child corpse meat. I hope YouTube doesn't take this down. And yeah, so he has to go through a lot, even if Six wasn't making things kind of worse. Technically Shadow Six, because Six would never do this. Yeah. Storm, because it's hell is fun. It was real fun. Writing emotional distraught is interesting. there's a lot of words you can use and metaphors and similes that are just completely at my range, and I had tons of fun with it. Did it have a happy ending, Lure of the Maw? Well, assuming that everyone here is watching this because they've already read it or because they don't care for spoilers, it did have a happy ending. Which a lot of people were not very sure that they would get. Oh man, that was a fun time. When everyone thought this was gonna end bad, that was so fun. Oh man, as you can tell, I had a lot of fun messing up with people's psyches. I remember a few times after reading, like reading or sitting with my friends as they read the chapter, they would come back and be like, Todd, what are you doing? And I would just go, oh, good times, good times. It was a good ending. Seal. Oh, yeah. This is Seal's video. I'll probably link it. Like, I'll put it in the community tab or something, because Seal's video made me feel, like, awesome. Oh, Christ. Let's see. Oh, geez. Okay, hold on. Dude. Listening to... Oh, no. Listening to fitting depression music while writing is fun. Yeah. I know this wasn't a question, but I listened to so much different music as I was writing this that eventually all of my YouTube recommended just became a bunch of playlists, and I was like, oh god, will I ever come back from this? Worth it though. It helped. Let's see. What else does Reverb have to say? Does 6 still have traces of the lady's powers or Shadow 6? I'm sure that's a question a lot of people have. No. As soon as the signal tower died, which was after they broke the loop, meaning as soon as Mono made Shadow 6 go poof, there was very little left of the lady and her powers left in 6. I tried to imply that and try to explain that as much as I could, as at the end of the ladies' quarters chapter when they were leaving and the big what's the word I'm looking for, like Isle of Death was happening, is that the powers were fading and she didn't have much of them left, so they had to be quick. That was the entire point of, you know, the entire conversation prior to them. But between them, the elevator doors opening and them getting to the end was that they had to be quick, because everything was fading, and eventually it completely left her. So she doesn't have any powers anymore. They're both regular kids. Mono doesn't have powers anymore either, because the signal tower in this universe is what was giving it to them. So, yeah, they don't have powers anymore. Oh no, okay, everyone's gonna be mad at this one. Reverb says, I know RK isn't really in Lure of the Mob, but does he get out alright, / do you think he'll make a guest appearance in the prequel? I'll talk about the prequel more at the end of the stream. RK is dead. I'm sorry to say it, but RK is very dead. I feel bad about that. I promise one day I'll write something that's nice with Runaway Kid, because I feel really bad for what he's been dealt in this story. I promise I love his character. I promise I love RK. He's literally such a sweet little boy. But no, he's dead. He doesn't get out alright. He will not be making a guest appearance in the prequel. He is dead. I am so sorry. No, some people might have thought that the gnome was someone else, but you know, it doesn't hurt to answer that question and make everyone sad. Todd didn't think using a notepad would be helpful. Yeah. Don't know if anyone asked this in the Discord yet, but what happened to the remaining civilians in the Little Nightmares world? Did they remain as they were? Did they go back to normal? I don't really have an answer for that, to be completely honest with you. I know that the viewers, at least the people that got all messed up in the world, like residents such as the teacher and, like I said, the viewers, to me they have all disappeared and or died. So there's either just a bunch of empty clothes now, a lot more than there were before, or there's a lot more than before corpses in the Pale City. So residences and civilians that were twisted by the signal somehow are all dead. I don't count the guests as that, because they're just big. I suppose that the guests that weren't killed off are still alive. But aside from that, I think anyone who wasn't affected by the signal, be it they were just hiding out from the tower, or they were kids or something, they are now completely safe from the tower. But if you ask me, well, actually I might be able to get more into that on a more related thing. Okay. Yeah, I'll get into it later in its own segment. Another question from Reverb. This music is really distracting. Do I think I'll do any art for the other chapters? I want to so bad. I want to make art for the other chapters really badly. I made a sketch for the for the prologue, but that wasn't really like official art like the ones that are on screen right now. I don't have any art for the prison, oh, the song is great. I don't have any art for the prison, the lair, or the kitchen. I don't have any for those. It's only the guest area, the ladies' quarters, the sky, and there are 3 pieces for the epilogue. So eventually one day I might go back and make pieces for them. If I do, I'll let you know here, but until then there's not any pieces because I have things I need to get done, sadly. So yeah, I want to. The simple answer, I want to. You already answered that. What kind of ear trauma did Mono get? Will it heal even just slightly? I'll be honest with you, I did try to research ear traumas, but I don't like looking at trauma. I don't like looking at injury. So that was a big no-no. I didn't go into detail looking up, hold on. I didn't look into what kind of trauma he got. It's just he got a glass shard stuck in his ear and now he can't hear. Will it ever heal? No. He is half deaf for the rest of his life. I'm not nice. I promise I love these kids. I promise if you read my other fics, you'll know how much I love these kids. I promise I don't hate them. I love them so much. So when Mono grows up, will he become the thin man without powers? Debatable. That's a good question. I honestly haven't paid much thought to it. In terms of appearance, maybe. I think he might not be as tall because he doesn't have the signal tower to distort him anymore, which is a shame because I love how tall he is. He would give such great hugs. If you hear Mono going oi in the background, it's just my ringtone. Also, my dad says that he thinks I'm great. He told me to say that. So I think he would just be shorter, or at least average adult height and not like 6,000 feet tall. He's not a fucking telephone pole anymore. So if they grew up, they'd be just like normal people. You get more sun though. My poor man. My poor guy, my poor son. Oh god, he deserves some time in the sun. Let's see. What do you think happened to the Ma now that it has no lady and no customers? Will the rest of the gnomes take over? Okay, here's the thing. I will let you guys be happy this one time. The Ma eventually will just completely break down. There will be absolutely no trace of it except for a big hunk of metal down at the bottom of the sea. The guests, who gives a shit about what happens to them, honestly? The guests will probably go down with it, so Titanic style, and just to be nice, the gnomes survive. The ferryman comes back and picks them up, and he brings them to the shore. Where they go is up to you. To me, they just wander the earth, and since gnomes canonically don't taste good, they live. So, yay! This wasn't asked by anybody, but I did want to mention that to me, the gnomes, all of them go by its pronouns, which is why they are referred to such in the chapters that feature the most gnomes, the last 2 chapters. I just wanted to say that in case anyone thought I was just being, like, I didn't want to seem like I was dehumanizing. It's just that I thought that those pronouns would work the best for them. So, yeah. Let's see, what else do we have? Reverb sent a lot of questions. I'm so grateful for it. Well, yeah, okay. What happened to the chefs, and weren't there still remaining guests on the Mar? Did Six kill them too when they were leaving? No. Like I said, they will all go down with the ship. I know you asked that, because of the stream delay and everything, you asked that before I completely answered it. But just to clarify, no, every monster and awful adult on there dies. And the gnomes are fine. Hooah. And if you want, the kids can come too. Honestly, they're so not at all relevant to the story that you can think whatever you want for them. Ooh, okay. Mochi on my Discord server asked a good question. Do the other kids and gnomes that escaped with Six and Mono have a backstory? If yes, will you write about them? So generally, do the kids featured in the kids and gnomes featured in the chapters, are they part? Do they have a backstory? I haven't really thought of any backstories for them. My only backstory is for Fox and Citrus, in that they it's very minuscule too, in that they went through hell together and then they got caught and taken to the mall. So kind of like a Mono and Six story, except it's not romantic. It's more so like a sibling bond, if anything. They're best friends. So I haven't really thought much about it. Will I ever write it? Probably not. If I do, then they would be very short stories, and it wouldn't be like an entire thing like Lure of the Maw or anything. So, the kids, while I love them, and the gnomes, while I love them, will probably not get any big backstory chapters or anything. Oh, thanks, Luke. After the end of Lure of the Maw, does the world slowly return back to normal, like a modern day sort of situation? This was implied in the epilogue that yes, it will, but it will take a very long time. Mono and Six and the rest of the group will probably live the rest of their lives in a post-apocalyptic world that slowly kind of turns back to normal, but they will probably not live to see the world return back to normal, which is a shame. With the tower's signal gone, does that render Mono powerless, leaving Six the only one? But no, both of them are powerless. I'd be down for short stories. Aww. Okay. Just to clarify, what Reverb asks is if the places or the people that the tower influenced are around. They're not. And also the ferryman is not part of the loop. This will give me the chance to. Oh, okay. Hold on. I'll answer. I'll go into that in just a second. Finally, I made my question in my head. Do the kids ever find out that the gnomes were once kids? I did think about actually adding that in the epilogue. But I thought that would be a little too much for Six. I wanted to lessen the pain a little bit less. I wanted to lessen the pain for her. Okay. I don't know. In my head, I would like to think that they would, and Six would just have to go through an entirely other mental ordeal. The poor girl. I gotta give her like some time to breathe at some point or something. So, in my mind, they would. But I'm not entirely sure. I think if I were to write something like that, it would be, they find out that the gnomes were kids. Six kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? She like socially regresses, I guess. She gets into a depressive stage and feels really awful about everything all over again. The kids don't know why. Mono will not tell them why. Six definitely won't tell them why. And whether this causes a rift between the Mono and Six and the other kids' relationship is up for debate. If this conversation happened when the kids were older, I believe it would. But if it were younger, then they would just kind of they would just be like, oh, okay, sure, whatever. So depends. If we were going with the kids being upset that they wouldn't tell, I imagine they would eventually push, and Six would be the one to tell them that entire story. And given that this world that they live in is very brutal, just by itself. I think that they would all come to forgive her eventually. Whether that takes a while or happens on the spot is up for debate. And I want to put this in perspective. A lot of people, when I mentioned that characters would forgive other characters for stuff, like when in the epilogue, the group of kids forgave Six for eating a piece of kid. They forgave her and everything, and I feel like some people may have been like, how the hell do you forgive someone for that? And the thing is, in the Little Nightmares universe, stuff like being chased by monsters, having to smash kids' heads open if they attack you, generally defending yourself and putting your life as the number one priority above all else is kind of the norm. Like, in the comics, we've seen that kids get chased down with pitchforks because of whatever reason. I did not read the comics, but there were kids getting chased by pitchforks and shit. Kids get kidnapped. They get turned to gnomes. There's a lot of horrific stuff that happens in this universe that these children would just consider normal. So they are very desensitized, and what they may consider as horrific crimes against humanity or what we consider crimes against humanity, probably is just their Tuesday. So that's the perspective I have on this, is that, say, if you killed someone, they'd probably be like, okay, sure, yep, that happens, and that's just that. So their bar is set a lot lower than ours. That is my entire mindset. So that's the answer. That's the very long-winded answer. Reverb has a lot of questions about the tower still being around, but just a long story short, anything involving the tower still affecting things after the epilogue, I'm just going to answer with the tower doesn't exist anymore, and thus it doesn't have any more influence. That is the answer to all of that. Let's see. Oh, was the music box the lady had a replica she made? Yes, it was a replica. It was not the actual music box, because the actual music box was back in the Hunter Shack, and obviously she couldn't go there and just be like, hum-dee-dum, just gonna steal this from this dead man's shack. The music box was a replica made on the Maw, and eventually it was designed to look worn and loved, the way that her old music box had looked, which is why it looked artificial in the way that it was designed, despite it having scratches and everything. It just wasn't authentic. So she just has her own copy of a music box, but she's wound it up so many times that it just doesn't work anymore. Will the tower ever return? No, it is gone forever. It is crumbled. It basically, in my mind, the crater looks like as if somebody had just scooped the entire thing out. There's no trace of it whatsoever. Except for maybe some posters that depict it or anything, but there's no, like, physical traces left from the tower itself. Will the kids or gnomes be influenced by nightmares? Will they have some of their own? I mean, generally, I think the kids would have nightmares about what had happened on the Maw and all of that, but but I don't think they'd have nightmares as specific or as important as Mono and Six's. All of Six's nightmares were sort of, well, after they broke out of loop. Before they broke out of loop, all of her nightmares were sort of prophetic / foreshadowing. She had, her main nightmare at the beginning of the series is that there's something warm and wet, and the place that she's in is shaking, and she feels energized. And what that means is the warm and the wet is the lady's blood, the shaking is the swaying of the ship, and the energy is the lady's power coursing through her. I tried to hint at that in the ladies chapter with the wording and everything. Yeah, so they have specific nightmares. Mono has nightmares about the door and everything that he's supposed to go to. So if the kids have nightmares, they're not going to be, like, prophetic. Since the loop is broken, will the bullies that survived Mono's trip through the school grow up and be a threat? No, I don't think so. I think that the bullies were kind of some sort of weird product of the tower. 'Cause maybe I'm remembering wrong, but if you break open their heads, like some weird black dust magic-y looking stuff comes out, which implies that it's part of the tower. Even if that isn't happening, I would imply that I would guess that it's happening because they're porcelain dolls that are alive and have no organs or brain. So if so the bullies will not be a problem because even if their bodies were still around, they would just be dolls that cannot move. They'd just be regular dolls because they don't have any more sentience. So sorry to ask, don't worry about it, but how do I start a story for Little Nightmares? For me, it was coming up with a simple concept and then growing off of it. One thing that really helps is that I was basing it a lot off of the games, which means that I didn't have to worry about writing any settings or new antagonists or anything, which made this much easier to write than if I was writing something completely on my own. But just having a simple concept and growing from there, having a point A to point B really helps. Like for me, my point A was Mono and Six at the mall. Even though I had the prologue and everything, that was just setting things up. But the point A was them at the mall, point B was them coming home. So I had to do everything in between, and then between that point A and B, I made other point A's and B's, such as when they're fighting against the janitor, what I specifically want to happen is I want Six to cut off the arms of the janitor, as she does in the game, and then Mono be really upset about it. So I just have to write a bunch of point A's to point B's and put things in between until I have a story, which is pretty fun. Where does the tower's destruction and everything else leave the teachers, patients, living hands? Like I said, they are either just clothes, like when the viewers fall down, they just become a lump of clothes, or they're just corpses laying around. So, yeah. Or there is also a mental image that I have of them just fading away with the tower. Like if you've seen Pol, P-O-L's animation for, if you know, you know. That's all I'm gonna say. That one hurt a lot. I just want to say Newt looks at things. I honestly love how Newt came out in that drawing. With the tower gone, will the other monsters in the world, like the Mirror Man and the North Wind? I think yes. Since their residences, sorry for how I say that. Since their residences, which means they fall into the same category as the Thin Man and the Lady, I believe that they would also fade away. I didn't know I had a story in the works. Dude, the story is done. I would be careful with this stream, dude, because yeah, we're talking about everything, so there's gonna be spoilers abound. Let's see. If the tower was a crater, had Mono get the music box? Oh, okay. The music box, in case anyone didn't catch on to it, was from the Hunter's Shack and not the tower. Since everything in the tower just kind of disappeared after they escaped, and in the time between, in the time that Six is not a monster and in the tower, it seems that the tower is just a bunch of nothing and can conform itself into whatever it needs to be to fit its situation. So I think that even if the music box was still there, it would just disappear with the rest of it, but I don't think the music box would be there at all. The only time it would be there was when Six was a monster inside the tower and everything. So yeah, no, it's not from the tower, it's from the Hunter, which is why it took so long for Mono to get there, because he had to go all the way across the city and back, since let's put into the perspective of the camera. The Hunter's Shack is all the way to the left, to the west, and they are on the complete opposite side of the city on the right, in the east, which makes it a whole lot of walking. Whew. Let's see. Oh. Is the time loop still holding on to them? It is not. Some of these that have answers in the fic that either are just sort of mentioned and not very talked about, but they're still pretty explicitly there. I'm just answering really quickly. Does the time loop still hold on to them? No, it does not. Oh, okay. Just because I asked about Runaway Kid, again from Reverb, just because I asked about Runaway Kid, what about Raincoat Girl? Does 6 still meet her? To expand on that, does the nest have any effect on the world? Does it fall like the tower / the maw? So. The nest. I really did not pay any mind to the nest while writing this. In fact, I don't think I even watched a Let's Play of Very Little Nightmares until after I got to, like, probably either the prison or the lair, one of the really early chapters. But Raincoat Girl was still a character in this universe. I'm just not going to write any sort of, like, lure of the nest. I love Raincoat Girl. I want everyone to know I love her. I know I haven't featured her in any of my content, but I love her. I really love her character and how interesting she is and how much she plays into 6's character. I think she is so underrated, and I love the fandom version of her, but man, is the canon version of herself so interesting. But she still exists, but we're just not ever going to see that story. You can assume that Very Little Nightmares plot happens the exact same way as it does in canon. If the nest falls down, I imagine it would, since the entirety of its population is residences, albeit most of them being lesser, with the Pretender being the biggest one. Or at least as far as we know. We know there's a few other kids, but it's mostly just residences. I know I say that really weirdly, but trying to say residence is all the time is just woof. Yeah, claustrophobia is gonna play next. There it is. The nest is just a thing that's in the background. You don't need to really think about it that much. It's still the exact same way as it was in Very Little Nightmares. When's the marriage between Mono and 6? I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I did think about writing a chapter about that. If I did write it, it would be a spin-off and I wouldn't be adding it. But I did think about it. I don't know. They deserve it. They deserve a happy chapter, one where they're not facing any traumas. I swear to God, every chapter they've been through in the entirety of this fic has just been something bad happens no matter what. There was them getting kidnapped, there was just the general horror of being on the maw and processing that they got kidnapped. Honestly, the prison was probably the most lighthearted chapter. We had, the armed choppy happening in the lair, and also 6 getting a scar. 6 almost got eaten. Mono lost his hearing in the kitchen chapter. The guest chapter, I don't need to explain that. Ladies' quarters chapters, yeesh. 6 is just generally recovering in the sky chapter, and she thought Mono died. So lots of trauma for these kids. Yeah, it would probably go that's a lot of trauma. It would probably go crumbling if it did. Does 6's leg wound still affect her? In my mind, no. It's just a scar. But you could imagine she has like a little limp if you'd like. It doesn't really change anything. I just think that she has a scar. What was the reason Mono can use his powers on the maw again? It's that there wasn't really any chance for him to, and since he was farther away from the signal tower, I like to believe that they were weakened. In this story, a lot of his powers are mostly focused on TVs and the presence of a signal, and even though there was a signal on the maw, it wasn't as strong as if he were in, say, the Pale City. The Thin Man in the time loop was never meant to go anywhere else except for the Pale City. He's kind of like the ruler of it. he's like assigned it, aside from the eyes and everything, which are the rulers of everything. But he's meant to only stay in the Pale City, where, in my opinion, his powers would be strongest because he has a signal tower, close proximity all the time. But on the Maw, he's if the Thin Man / his powers were to be on the Maw, there aren't many TVs. We see like 1 or 2 the entire time we're on it, and that's counting the DLC. We see not a lot of TVs. I don't imagine there's a very good signal all the way out there, so yeah. He doesn't really use his powers on the Maw because he can't really do anything. What was the role / purpose of the ferryman? The ferryman was just there to take them to and from the Maw. In my mind, he's responsible for delivering extra kids to the Maw on its off time, since the Maw is described to only be on and off, or it only takes passengers once a year, meaning they have about 11, at least 11 months to prepare for visitors and everything. The ferryman would take kids he would take kids over, and he would give them to the lady, and then they'd be kept at the Maw and everything. I do imagine that some kids would also probably come from the guest's time on the Maw, if you can pick up what I'm implying. So there are kids coming from that source, but there's probably, given how many people we see that are taken onto the Maw when guest board, you probably need a lot more. So that's the ferryman's role in universe and also in this fic. But his main role to the plot of this fic is that he just takes kids to and from. That's all you really gotta know. Do you have any plans for a side / prequel story about how the loop started? I don't have one for how the loop started, but I do have a prequel planned called Lure of the Signal. I'll get more into that at the end. There's a phone! Oh, Mono, little man. What a talented little boy. Let's see, is there anything else? Does Mono still wear his bag? If he doesn't, what happens / why? He does not still wear his bag because, as in the second game, he loses it during his fight with the Thin Man, and it's just floating around somewhere in the Pale City. I don't really have any other explanation for that. It happens exactly as it does in the game. He takes off his bag and it just floats away. Did the ferryman take Mono and Six and everyone else back to the Pale City instead of killing them? Yeah, he took them all back to the Pale City. My idea is that the ferryman is a very morally gray, sort of chaotic, neutral sort of character, in that if he's not getting something out of it, he really doesn't want to interact with it. So, like, I imagine there'd be some sort of terms of payment between him and the lady for bringing kids over. And now that she's dead, there's no one to pay him, so he's like, fuck it, whatever. I'm tired of fucking rowing back and forth from this place. I'm just gonna take these kids home. I'm too tired to deal with this. Because, I mean, he already has to row back anyways. What's the point of just leaving those kids there completely hopeless? He's just like, alright, come on over. And he gives them a ride back. So, yay. What was Mono's reason for wearing the bag in the first place? I mean, he's not wearing the bag in Lure of the Maw, but my personal opinion is it's sort of his way to cope with everything. My friend Sayla, love her, by the way, she has really great explanations for everything, and she has a really great one for, oh great, my dog is barking. Oh, okay. People are coming over at the moment. I apologize if you hear my dogs barking or people talking in the background, but people are coming over. I put this in the description. But, oh, right. It's a metaphor for him running away. He keeps the bag on and he's running away from things. He's not facing them head on. He's hiding from them. And then when he takes the bag off during the Thin Man fight, he's actively facing his problems. And so he takes the bag off. And it's just a visual metaphor. So that's that. So that's why he took them back. He just stopped caring. Yeah, pretty much. It'd be cool to see Six and Mono battle the lady together. Yeah, but I mean, I had to follow the storyline. Once I plot something out, I try not to deviate from it that much, because then I would have to completely rewrite some parts, and that would be very stressful. Oh! It's Small! Small is one of my best friends. Hey, Small. You have missed a good bit, but don't worry, this will all be public. I'm not just gonna be like, lol, bye to everything, but yeah, this will all be public after it finishes. Whew. Okay, so that's all of Reverb's questions and all the ones I have on my Discord server. So now I have more time to focus on the chat. Mono 6 wedding when? Don't tempt me. I think that'd be a really sweet chapter to write. Just having just the time of their lives, just having a party or something. I think they deserve it. I might. I thought the ferryman took them back as a form of respect. Yeah, also that. He was I don't have my notes anymore. As I checked plot points off, I deleted things in my notes. But one of the things that I had written was essentially, the ferryman is impressed that these kids survived a month on the maw and just lets them go. That was literally what was in my notes. I wish I still had my notes app to show you exactly what. But I kind of deleted it, and I kind of regret it, but it didn't really have anything on there except for a list of the characters and everything, so. Give these kids a pizza party. Oh, I would love to, but. What's become of the ferryman now that the tower is gone? I don't know, he can just do his own thing. Some of these I just don't have answers for because they're not plot relevant, and a lot of stuff with the ferryman, aside from what he's shown to do in the story, are really not relevant. I don't really have any thoughts for them. He probably just wanders around and does whatever. He maybe tries to live a normal-ish life while also just on the sidelines being some sort of monster hunter to defend himself. That's what I like to think. I don't know. There's something kind of nice about the ferryman being some sort of weird father, parental, guardian figure for lost kids that I just kind of dig. So, you know. I just realized I am so dumb. I'm not going to say it because otherwise people are going to laugh at me. Anyhow. Mono and 6 were on the mall for a month. Yeah, about. They were on top of it for a few weeks, and I didn't really specify how long it took them to get through the main story of Little Nightmares 1 from 6 waking up in the suitcase and everything to her walking out, like that sort of range. I didn't really specify how long that took, and I wasn't planning on it. So I gave a generous range of about 1 to 3 days, I don't know, with them resting in between chapters, I guess, if you'd like to see it that way. Whatever. Please do, we need more wholesome content. Also, I don't know if they're still here, Stars Loom, but I just saw your thing on Twitter. I'm going to say Persephone is absolutely my headcanon voice for the lady. Thank you for seeing me. Were there any kids left on the maw? There's no way in the 9 circles of hell that Mono and 6 and maybe the kids freed all the other kids on the hellboat. Surely some of them got left behind. As I said, what happens to the gnomes and the kids left behind on the ship? I like to think that they got free somehow. Maybe there's some rescue rafts or something, you know, like emergency evacuation boats. I like to imagine that they got on there and rode out of there, because those kids deserve it. They're not very plot important, so you can imagine whatever you'd like with them, but that is personally my own interpretation of what happened. Is X the gnome an Eki cameo? Yes, it is. Let me see if I still have that. Yes, okay. The gnomes were also named after people, just as the kids were named after people. Let me pull that list up. 6 had 2 gnomes, Say and West. Say was named after my beloved friend, my bestie Sayla. Sayla, aka biggest brain in the whole world. Goddamn Storm. West is named after the Sleeping at Last song West because it's a very Mono 6 song. Listen to it and you will know life. You will understand what life is like. Sayla, goddamn. Mono's gnomes are named after people that are in my Discord server, including Crow, Bato, Eddie, Phobia, and whatever. Literally, their name is whatever. So, they're named after those people. Yay! Those people are very big supporters of me and my story, so I wanted to just give them a shout out because I felt like it. Let me pull something else while I'm in my documents here too. As a little treat, I thought I would read out a deleted scene from from the ladies' quarters. I'll do that later. But oh man, was it great! It's an inside joke with my friends. West by Sleeping at Last. I'll put it in the chat. There's a lyric in it that goes, I can't get you out of my mind. I swear that I'll never try. And I'm like, wow. Wow. Hurts. Hits different. Happiness is overrated. Come here, Sleepy. Yeah, you didn't miss Come here, Sleepy. Don't worry. The inside joke is the line, Come here, Sleepy. I don't know if I'll read it right now or not. I'll hold off on explaining it, depending on if I do or not. Might be explained if there's a prequel, we'll ask it now. Before all the events, what made 6 not decide to drop Mono in the tower? What changed this time? I'm not telling. That is for Lure of the Signal to explain, which will be very fun to write. I guess I can talk about that now since it seems the questions are slowing down. Lure of the Maw will be getting a prequel. Don't ask me when because I have no idea when. Probably very far from now. At least a month, I'm assuming, because I want to work on videos. And writing takes a lot less effort and time than video making. I can literally write an entire chapter in 3 days if I try hard enough. Meanwhile, a video takes me forever. At least 5 days. if we're going off of hard head. But Lure of the Signal will be a prequel to Lure of the Maw. Written by yours truly, of course. And it will have the same sort of format where there's a prologue, and there will also, the chapters will be divided by the game chapters. So the first actual chapter will be the wilderness, second one will be the school, etc., etc., etc. So that will be the format for that. It will go into the relationship of Mono and 6 more and how they started out, and we will get to see them progress from strangers to a couple who say I love you to each other, and we'll also give some context to some of their other moments, such as a joke that I made based off of a piece of art that I'll now have to explain in Lure of the Signal. And why exactly it took them so long to label each other as girlfriend and boyfriend, and the kissing and everything. So there'll be a few little tidbits about their relationship that'll go into. What about sequel in the future? There probably won't be a sequel. I felt that Lure of the Maw was pretty final in the way that it ended, and I felt like if I had written Lure of the Signal before Lure of the Maw, it would have been a very great way to close out the series. The fun thing about Lure of the Signal, a few people already know this concept, and if you are here and you know the concept, I ask that you don't spoil it, because even though I greatly appreciate your assurance that it is actually a good concept and I'm not just stupid, I would like to keep it a secret for the people who don't know. The concept is very similar to Lure of the Maws in that it plays out very similarly to the game that it's based on, except of course it's going to end differently. Obviously Mono isn't going to get dropped, that's no spoiler, because he's here in Lure of the Maw. Neither of them are going to die, like I said, obviously, unless. And there is a new character who isn't really there in canon. technically they are, but technically they aren't. Depends on how you think about it. Unless I've got some things that I can explore. So I'm very excited to do Lure of the Signal because I actually had the concept, and it originally wasn't going to be part of the Lure of the Maw universe, but the more I thought about it, the more I thought of how fun and interesting it would be to give Lure of the Maw a sequel, or a prequel, I guess, to give Lure of the Maw a prequel, and also write this concept, so it'd be like a two birds, one stone sort of situation. So, I'm very excited to write it, because I keep thinking about a lot of scenes. I'm gonna put this on the record. The first scene that I ever thought of for Lure of the Signal, with no spoilers, is the Thin Man versus Mono fight. And if you know what the concept is, again, don't spoil it, you can get a very good idea of why that will be so damn interesting. So, again, there will be a character that isn't supposed to be there, or originally wasn't there, and I guess they're not really supposed to be there. I would like, if you have any sort of predictions as to who that might be, I've asked this a million times, if you have predictions for who that might be, I'm super interested, because I love seeing people's predictions and knowing what it actually is and then laughing. You can tell because in the comments of all the Lure of the Maw chapters, I'm just laughing maniacally at the people who are going, Mono's gonna die, and I'm just like, aha. So, I like seeing people's predictions. I like comparing them to what the actual canon is gonna be. It's really fun. I've hinted at Lure of the Signal quite a few times in Lure of the Maw, specifically in the last two chapters when I was getting more comfortable with the idea of it. You're just guessing the comic, kids. So, yeah, it's gonna be really fun. I'm very excited for that to happen. Like I said, I don't know when it'll exactly start being written. I still need to plan everything out. As far as I just have the character that is being added there. There's going to be, I'll say this now. It's not Raincoat Girl, and it's not Runaway Kid. It's not either of the other protagonists, because that would just have too much of an effect on either of the characters in the storyline. RK does not ever feature, RK nor Raincoat Girl ever really feature in the in the story of Lure of the Maw or Lure of the Signal at all. Sorry. I love them, I promise I do. It's just that they don't have a place in the story, which I'm sorry about. Is it someone from the Little Nightmares and more of an OC? Nope, it is still someone from the universe. It's not an OC. Oh man, I missed the Little Nightmares 1 comics. As soon as Lure of the Signal starts, I know I'm just gonna hold up Lure of the Maw. Yeah. Oh man. I think it would be unfair if I guess. Sayla, I think you know the concept. I don't think you're allowed to guess. Man, your predictions are so funny. They're great. They're really great. I'm really nervous about the concept though. The only reason people know about the concept, even though I really wanted to hold off on it, is because I was anxious that the idea wasn't very good. But they assured me that it was, so I'm just gonna have to believe them. One from the canceled Little Nightmares 1 comics. I'll give you another hint. I've never read the Little Nightmares 1 comics, so it's not really within my, I guess, best interest to feature one from the Little Nightmares 1 comics, because then I would just be like, I totally know this character, ahahaha, sweats nervously. So it's not a comic kid from the Little Nightmares 1 comics. 7 me. Small. Ricky Sayla. The people who know the concept are comforting me again. I'm just, it's nerve-wracking. I love thinking about it though. I'm very excited for it. I love this series so much, and I kind of hope it gets the same sort of notoriety, sort of recognition as Lure of the Maw, because I have a feeling this one might take a bit more effort to do, since Little Nightmares 2 is in general a longer game. It's got a lot going on in it. It'll be harder to write because I have 3 characters to worry about and not just Mono and 6. And also I have to make it fit into place with Lure of the Maw. So there's a lot that's going to be going on. Oh, I love Ghost. Ghost holds gently. I love them. Well, I'm not telling you if your guesses are wrong or right. I'm very excited for it. Let's see. What is the song after this song? Signal Interference. Oh boy, I can't read Come Here Sleepy to Signal Interference. I'm gonna pull up a very soft song when I read, or not when I read Signal. Did I say? I'm forgetting my words. I'm really fucking. I'm very lots of things happening in my mind right now. I'll just pull up the Togetherness tracks because they make me cry. Play next. Dun, 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 dun. Play next. Swag. Okay. Hope it doesn't make me cry again. That was embarrassing. Oh. I love Ghost. Yeah. Ghost is great. I love Ghost. Ghost beloved. Lure of the Signal. Do I think it'll make you cry? Possibly. Can't really say anything until the chapters come out, but let me tell ya. Mono, I'm sorry, but since Lure of the Maw was technically round 2, round 1 of trauma, buddy. Oh, this poor man. This poor man. I'm gonna put Signal Interference back at the top because Sayla's gonna go insane if I don't. I know she will. I can hear it. She sounds like La Creatura. Simone. Typical of Todd to make us cry with their fix. Yeah, you didn't see it, but I just whipped Nate. I'm so sorry. I'm cringe, but I'm free. Ah, the poor cringe, the poor cringe, and the poor angst. Lots of sad going on. Oh man, so there's gonna be a lot of stuff happening in Lure of the Signal. If you ask me, I think it might be a bit more emotionally driven, more consistently, than Lure of the Maw was. Lure of the Maw, for a good part of it, was very, very setting based, like very point A to point B based. It didn't have as much character as the last 2 chapters in the first chapter, because those were all unwinding, dealing physical and mental trauma and all of that. Like, even when I was writing it, I noticed that it was very different. A lot of the times when I was writing the Maw chapters, there was a lot of me describing the scenery and what was happening and yada yada yada. And then a lot of the 7th and 8th chapter were just emotion happening. They were in the same place for a long time, which meant that I had more chance to better flesh out their emotions and everything than have to worry about describing what was happening, since it was just them walking around or sitting down, or, you know, it wasn't very exciting action-wise, but it had a lot of emotion. How long do you predict it to be compared to Lure of the Maw? Well, let's think. It'll have the prologue, wilderness, school, hospital, Pale City, transmission, and an epilogue. Huh. That seems shorter. Oh, right, because it had a wrap-up chapter. I was like, why is this shorter than Lure of the Maw? Don't they have the same amount of chapters? And I realized it's because Lure of the Maw had that extra chapter between the ladies' quarters and the epilogue. That was kind of a wrap-up. I might add a wrap-up chapter to Lure of the Signal too, but as far as I know, it'll be 7 to 8 chapters, so it'll be the same length as Lure of the Maw. Word count wise, I have no idea. I imagine it'll be more, since the chapters in Little Nightmares 2 are longer than the ones in Little Nightmares 1. Like, if you compare the games, Little Nightmares 1 is like a 2-hour play, and the second one is like a 3-4-hour play, something like that. It's long. It's a long game. How good are you at finishing your writing projects? A lot of times, I think I'm pretty good at them. I've tried my hand at multi-chapter fix 3 times. Only once have I not finished it because I was demotivated. The other ones, the first one I did was I finished it purely because I was so invested in writing out the ending, and because my friend Ray was super interested in seeing how it would end. So she was really my main source of motivation. And I finished this one because it got a lot of attention and I couldn't just leave it. And I was very happy to finish it because I'm very passionate about this story. And be honest, how many do you have that you swore you finished but you never did? Like I said, only one. All my other fics are like one-shots that I just finish in like 1 or 2 sittings. Unless you're that a certain boy fic. That one took me a few days to finish just because I was sick while I was writing that, which was not fun. If you don't know, that was one of my other fics. Oh, the togetherness is hitting. How did you come up with the final 2 chapters? The part taking place in the winter was really interesting, and there's concept art of Mono dragging Six through the snow. Did that influence it? It actually did not. I do really like that piece, though. No matter how much Sayla laughs at it, I swear to God, I'm gonna fucking crunch her. What I came up with the sky, the 7th chapter, because I felt like there needed to be more time between them leaving and but between them leaving the maw and them getting back home, because those are 2 different things in my mind. Leaving being that they escaped, both practically and from a storytelling thing. Like practically, I don't think that the ferryman would be coming back every day. I think he'd come back with like a haul or something, and he would come back even less when the guests were there because there's guests there and all of that. So yeah, I that was the practical point, but the storytelling was also that I feel like Six just needed some time to process everything before she went straight back home. I feel like it'd feel very rushed if it was just like, okay, we're sitting on the mall, 3 days go by, let's go home. It didn't feel satisfying, and I also wanted them to have more time to explore and find answers, like with the there's no signal tower with the TV or anything, and what else? And also like them figuring out about Shadow Six. They needed to be on the mall for that. So there was a lot of emotional stuff happening. I'll be completely honest. The plot lines that I had written for that chapter all happened pretty much in the back half. I didn't really plan the first half of everything, because it was just, like I said, me getting from point A to point B. I did not really plan on making it as long as it was. I did not think that it would be such a long chapter, but it was, so, you know, that just happened. The final chapter, the epilogue, only took place in the winter because I had hinted at it in the prologue that it was getting colder and they went out to get supplies, and that's the entire reason why they get caught. So I thought I would, you know, keep the continuity and go off of that. But it also gave me the chance to have the snowstorm and Mono coming back late. Originally, he was only going to be 4 days. He would come back after 4 days, and that would be it. But I was like, I can add a snowstorm since it's winter. Let's do it. And it also gave me the chance to give Six more of a reason to bond with the kids while they were hiding out from the blizzard, which was nice. So it all just kind of worked out for me, which was really great. Don't know if this was answered, but what characters, aside from Mono and Six, did you have fun writing? I love writing the kids so much. I love all of them a lot. I specifically like Fox and Citrus a lot because they have a dynamic, obviously. I know that sounds a little bit, what's what I'm looking for? A bit narcissistic, considering that Fox is based off of me, but I just like their dynamic, that they have this sort of protective, big siblings sort of thing going on, which I just think is sweet. And I also like Echo and Martin a lot, just because of their attachment to Mono and Six respectively. I feel like Echo is just attached to Mono because Mono is just sort of like a big brother dad figure, I guess. And Mono is very soft-spoken and pretty calm with him, unlike the rest of the group, who are very chaotic. And Martin is partial towards 6 because even though Mono kind of freaked her out when they had first met, 6 was like the first person to kind of be like, hey, you're all right and everything. So 6 is kind of like a mom, older sister figure to Martin. So I just like the kids. I like them a lot. Even though Ray and Newt don't have any particular ties to anyone, I still like them a lot too. Ray is the weird, chaotic bundle who is also most of the time pretty soft-spoken, and Newt is just Newt. I think you can tell that they're just a vibe from their character design that I gave them. But they're pretty great. Oh, a Pale City Snow Globe would be so great. I want a Pale City Snow Globe. Okay. 6 and Martin. Yeah. I love 6 and Martin. They have a nice dynamic going on. Let's see. I just realized Togetherness was playing and I didn't read the thing, which means I'm gonna have to restart Togetherness. Y'all ready to cry again? I kind of don't want to read it now because I have people over and I don't want them to hear me reading my freaking fanfic out loud. That's so weird. It's literally the middle of the day. 6 and Martin scene. Yeah. Newt is just Newt. I'll probably wrap up with reading this. Let me rewind Togetherness because Togetherness, my beloved. Oh, let me add something. If I have the time and energy and all of that, I want to make a trailer for Lure of the Signal. I can't promise it. I cannot promise it at all. But if I can, I will try. Because, you know, with the reputation that Lure of the Maw has, I feel like it's just kind of cool to make Lure of the Signal a trailer too. Even though Lure of the Maw is finished, I also want to make Lure of the Maw a trailer. It'd be fun. Just lean. No! I don't want it. No, that's so weird. Yeah, like a trailer. Like, you know how the games had trailers? That sort of thing. I'm not doing Todd ASMR. Oh my god. Let me see. Where can I, Okay, there's the bit that I want. Oh, that's so much. What's being read now? Oh, right, yeah. There was a deleted part in the ladies' quarters chapter that was 1,500 words that I had to delete and rewrite and everything because it wasn't going the way I wanted. The chapter that got posted, the actual ladies' quarters that got posted, was a lot more violent and dark and heavy than what I have in this document. Originally it was going to be rather lighthearted ending, and there was going to be a lot of fluff. And I was like, this doesn't fit considering what just happened. This really does not fit. So I'm sorry, but I cut a lot of fluff and stuff. There's a... I am sorry, but there was like I said, there's a lot of fluff that got cut out. So more pain for you guys, which was fun, and more pain for the kids. Not a question, but if you do a trailer, I recommend using... I apologize, but I already have songs picked out for both of the trailers. Oopsie daisy. Aw, thanks. I'm glad Chapter 5 lived up to expectations, because I was nervous about that one too. But yeah, Ladies' Quarters chapter was originally going to be very soft at the end. I can't believe you did that. Let me try to give context. I gotta scroll up and see. I'll sort of explain everything. So, was it chapter 5 or was it chapter 6? It must have been chapter 6. I'm sorry, it's weird, because in my documents, like, chapter 1 is labeled as, the prison, when in actuality, AO3 labels chapter 1 as the prologue. So, what you guys think is chapter 1, I think of as the prologue, and then what you guys think is chapter 2, I think of chapter 1, which is woof. Oh, yeah. My favorite thing about the ladies' quarters chapter, well, not my absolute favorite thing, was just that I was calling Morgan to read it, and the only thing that was at the top of the page, because I usually give like a little before notes that's like, oh man, this was so fun, or this was exhausting to write, this was fun to write, you know, yada yada, something like that. For this one, the before notes just said, enjoy, smiley face. That was fun. Oh man, Fuel's reaction to that is like my favorite shit ever. Okay, so context for what had got cut out. The entirety of what had gotten cut out was everything after them getting showered and them being cleaned, and Six is herself again, obviously. They hug and all of that, and they decide to take a nap in the little washroom area. They use like the towels, like all the extra towels as blankets, and they cuddle, and it's great. I'm not reading it obviously because that's embarrassing. I might post it later, I'm not entirely sure. Honestly, it's just a whole bundle of happy. And then I did take a few things from this chapter into the last two chapters because I still felt like there were things that had to happen. Like literally in my notes it was like, oh, they have this conversation, see the deleted content. Like, or Six asking if Mono is scared of her, he hesitates and she tells him be honest. Yada yada. I'm hesitant about posting it because a lot of it is repeated in other chapters. Like she has a nightmare once they go to sleep, and it's exactly, I literally just copy pasted it into the 7th chapter, into the Sky chapter. So yeah, that was that. Gotta rewind togetherness again, love that. I'm closing up the stream because we have people over and I want to hang out with them. It's been like a year since I've seen them. So this will be the last thing I do unless anyone has any last questions. She wakes up from the nightmare. She's all freaked out just like usual. She hugs Mono. It's all good. It's all good. And like I said, they're still in the washroom at this point. And she says that she wants to leave. So instead of leaving immediately after they get washed up and everything, like in the actual posted chapter, they take a nap. She has a nightmare. He comforts her. All of that. And she says she wants to leave. Okay. I guess I can start from here. And I'll just go until it skips. Basically, after what happens after they leave is that they go to the hallway. You know, the hallway that's at the end of the game. And there's no guest there because it's so late at night. And that was when I was starting to feel like this isn't what I want it to be. And it being so soft and everything, I just didn't like it. So I turned back and I started rewriting, and that was that. This is my final question. Will there be any more videos or art for Lure of the Maw? I hope so. I want to make a lot of content for Lure of the Maw still, even if it's over. I love it. It's my baby, and I want to make so much content. So, yeah. McDonald's or Subway? I like McDonald's, and I also like Subway, but I like McDonald's fries, so there you go. There's your answer. Okay. Let me drink my water before I read this. I'm very nervous. If I mess up at all, if I stumble over words, please don't bully me. The most amount of people that I've read in front of is one. And that was small. I may have read to other people at some point, I just don't remember. I'm nervous about reading in front of people. Okay. Okay. So, like I said, after the nightmare, hugs, comfort, good. Alright. More time passed and Six was eventually calmed by Mono's presence. He held her in his arms quietly, eyes closed, breathing deeply. He wasn't asleep, as his breathing was often even slower than now when he slept. But he seemed to be teetering between being awake and falling back asleep, only keeping himself up for Six's sake. Mono? She finally said, though her words were slowed with grogginess. He opened his eyes and looked up at her. I want to leave. Okay. We can get going if you're ready right now. He stretched his arms over his head and yawned. Six stood up and stretched too while Mono leapt to the elevator button. As the machinery rumbled and the doors opened, Six grabbed a towel from their pile and wrapped it around her shoulders. It's a blanket. Mono... Okay, here it comes. Mono looked back at her with a fond chuckle. Come here, Sleepy. She smiled tiredly and shambled over to her companion. He picked her up and carried her into the elevator. She didn't protest. She just tucked her head into the crook of his neck. Push the button for me, please? Six groaned but complied, sitting up in his embrace to reach for the button. It clicked as she pushed it, and she flopped back into her comfiness. Mono huffed at the sudden weight, but kissed her forehead as she settled. You're so spoiled, he muttered humorlessly. She laughed quietly. And that's where Come Here, Sleepy comes from! That was nerve-wracking. Ooh. Oh, how's my castle theme? Wow. Wee 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 wee. Aw, thanks, Seal. Mono got hurt in a subway. No! Come here, Sleepy. I love Come Here, Sleepy. That's all you gotta know. That's what Come Here, Sleepy is. That's what you guys missed out. I'm so sorry I kept that from you guys, but Come Here, Sleepy was just way too fucking soft. So, I don't see why it got cut. It only got cut because, like I said, it was too soft. I wanted to make this was the ladies' quarters chapter. I had to make it as intense as it could be from start to finish. So, having everything just come down so suddenly after she had just fucking ate someone in front of Mono and tried to eat him, I don't think that's very plausible. So, I had to take the more upsetting route. Will Come Here, Sleepy ever be drawn? Maybe. You're tempting me. Come Here, Sleepy. Love it. So now everyone will know what Come Here, Sleepy is. Okay, I'm gonna wrap it up here because, like I said, I have people over and I want to talk to them. I miss hanging out with them. But, yeah. If you have any questions that come up after the stream ends, you can put them in the comments of this, and I will gladly answer them, to the best of my ability. Hopefully I will make more Lure of the Maw content soon, be it the prequel or the Signal, or just art or comics or anything, or any one-shot spin-offs, anything like that. I'll let you guys know if I do. I'll post in my community tab. I'm so grateful for every bit of support and kind words and even just kudos and hits that that Lure of the Maw got. It's absolutely unbelievable. I cried a little bit when I was writing the last words, Always Forever. This has been the most mind-blowing experience of my entire life. I did not expect so many people to read my story and to get so invested in it. It's amazing. I'm so grateful for everything. So thank you all so much for reading it, for being invested in it, for coming here and asking your questions. It's always super fun to talk to my fans. It meant everything to me to have so much people here. I hope you'll all continue to support me even as I move a bit away from Lure of the Maw content, even though that will always hold a special place in my heart. I'm very grateful for everything, like I said, and it's been just absolutely so weird. It's so weird to think I wrote a novel. People love that novel. I'm a well-known writer now in the Little Nightmares fandom. It's weird. People recognize me on Twitter and YouTube and everything. It's fun. It's really fun, and I'm so grateful that everyone got me to this spot that I'm at now. Like I said, I hope you'll continue to support me. And thank you so much for being here for this stream and everything. Like I said, any questions after the stream will be taken and answered in the comments. And I love you guys very much. So thank you for that, for coming here and for asking your questions. It means a lot to me.